I had the opportunity to sit down with Kate Stewart, founder of Bauble Stockings, a brand that has made a meaningful impact on holiday traditions and communities around the world. Inspired by her own family's Christmas morning last gift tradition, Kate has reimagined this beloved ritual through beautiful hand stitched stockings that are perfect for creating special memories. Bauble stockings are more than just holiday decor. Every piece is crafted by talented female artists in Haiti, making her brand an embodiment of the spirit of giving, not just to our loved ones, but also to communities in need. By creating sustainable income for Haitian women, Bauble Stockings allows us to celebrate the season of giving in a very profound way. Today, we explore how Kate's vision merges tradition with artistry, bringing beautiful design into our homes while making a difference in the world and adding something really special to folks' holiday collections around the world. If you are passionate about supporting ethical craftsmanship, this conversation will certainly inspire you, but it is also such a fun, tradition based, nostalgia filled conversation about how we celebrate the people that we love during one of the most special times of the year. So I hope you enjoy this conversation. I had such a blast talking with Kate, and it got me pretty excited for the holidays. Welcome to Grandma's Silver, where tradition meets today. I'm Allie, your host and the founder of the Grand Millennial Lifestyle. Here, we blend aesthetics with nostalgia, engaging in conversations with lifestyle brands, designers, and more to rediscover the timeless charm of the past. Join me as we journey from home to heart, illuminating the past and polishing the present with the gleam of Grandma's silver. Well, Kate, thank you for being here. I'm very excited. It's crazy that we're already starting to talk the holidays and Christmas and all of the exciting festivities. So I wanted to just let you go ahead and introduce yourself, tell people about your brand, and we can go from there.
Hi, my name is Kate Stewart. I am the founder of Bauble Stockings. They are the miniature ornament-sized Christmas stockings you see kind of everywhere, hopefully. But there's a big tradition behind them. A lot of people don't know the tradition, and it's that a bauble stocking contains or holds a clue to each family member's final gift of Christmas. So bauble stockings are meant to be a save the best for last. It doesn't have to be the most expensive gift. It's the thoughtful gift. It's the one that makes you feel warm and fuzzy. For kids, it's awesome because it comes from mom and dad, not Santa Claus. But I grew up doing it for my mom to say thank you for all she had done. So my dad and my brothers and I would brainstorm this great gift for her every year. And when I found out not every mom had a bauble stocking, let alone every person, I realized it was a tradition that needed to be shared. And so I am the miniature stocking girl.
I love it. So, we've talked about this before. I've been obviously a longtime fan of your work and your brand. And I know bits and pieces just of what you've shared online, but could you talk a little bit more about that origin story, if you will, of that, how, what that tradition was in your family and how that really started? I mean, did your dad have a small stocking, or did you take that tradition and create a brand around it?
The way that I know, and now mind you, I never knew a time without bauble stockings.
Right.
So my vision is a little skewed, but the way it all came about was, let's fast forward to when I'm 24 years old. I've just gotten engaged at Christmas time with an ornament that said, Kate, will you marry me? So I am a
Oh,
Christmas girl through and through. But I asked my husband after we're engaged, probably a few weeks, I say, when do I get my bauble stocking? And he says, what are you talking about? And I said, you know what moms get with the final gift because they did all the work. And he says, no, we didn't have that. And so we were on vacation in Grayton Beach, Florida with a bunch of friends. And I started asking the girls, I think there were 14, there were 7 couples, 14 of us. And all the girls were like, I don't know what you're talking about, but that sounds awesome to get the final gift of Christmas. And so I called my parents and I said, no one's ever heard of this. And they started laughing and they were like, Kate, we made that up. I found out it wasn't Googleable or anything. And they thought it was hilarious. So my mom is an avid needle pointer. She has made, I think she's on her 19th full size stocking now.
wow.
So she's a diehard needle pointer and she has stitched my whole life. Like our family stockings are all needle pointed by her, and she had made a little tartan plaid with black Scotties on it stocking that hung on our tree, ornament size stocking. And I guess one year when I was so small, I don't remember it, my dad asked her at the end of Christmas, he said, well, have you looked in your stocking? And she said, well, I don't have a stocking because just my brothers and I had stockings that hung on the mantle. And he said, no, no, there's one. You have a stocking. It's on the tree. And I have no idea what he gave her. No, I have no earthly idea, but he must have loved her reaction to this gift so much that it then became the staple that my dad, every year, my dad was a 90s business dad. I mean, he worked in he worked in the IBM tower in Atlanta, and he had a car phone. And he was just always working. And I love my dad to pieces, but I didn't spend that much time with him when I was a kid. He was always working. And this was my big brothers. I'm the youngest of three. And my dad and I would go shopping and we'd have lunch and we would talk about my mom. We talk about all the things my mom had done for us that year and how my mom really held the family together and what her interests were. And she was in tennis and she was in the junior league and she was in the Kappa Alpha Theta, alumni group. And she just all the things that my mom loved and how special she was to her family. And then we would pick a gift based on that and we would hide it or clue to it in her bauble stocking. So the revealing of that gift was also very special to me as a child because I had picked out this special gift. And for my mom, it was special because everybody took the time to think about her. So you can see why that would be such like a pivotal memory of mine as a kid. Like that's what I remember about Christmas was just appreciating my mom during that time. So we launched the company. It was just for mom in 2018. We very quickly learned, people said, well, that's great, Kate, but I want to do this with my kids or my girlfriend or whoever it was that they wanted to do it with. And that's when we really launched it out to everybody was in 2019.
Okay. And what a special memory too, because, you mentioned your dad. So that also really instills that memory of togetherness. So like Christmas was also that time where it was your turn, right? Like you got him.
I always grew up knowing that my dad appreciated my mom.
I see those videos all the time of moms on Christmas morning and they're just watching everybody else opening gifts. And there is something I think just to that it is so nice to be remembered.
Yes, it's true. Moms get forgotten at the end of the holidays. And I love that Bauble Stockings all come with an insert that tells the story of how I grew up with it and ideas for the gifts. And I love when I've heard from men, it's good because it gives them an assignment. They buy it and they've got the card that tells them and they know every year at Christmas, this is their assignment. People love a to-do list. And not to say, I'm not trying to get Bauble Stockings to be like Elf on the Shelf. This isn't a one-upsman thing. This is a thoughtful thing.
Right.
But I do love the guys who have really jumped in on this tradition and gone, I do want my kids to know how special my wife is to me. And I love now that my kids, so my daughter is 8, almost 9, and this year she got to help plan her brother's gift with us. And so having her with us choosing a special gift and talking about him and all of his interests, I thought was super special. Again, for just like stopping to appreciate your family in the moment.
I think sometimes we look at that reflection or that space of reflection. We sometimes don't do that with gift giving. We tend to maybe associate reflection with the New Year's or, looking back on, or, those holidays that are very explicitly about mom, dad, grandparents' day, that kind of thing. But it makes so much sense to just encourage people, especially during a very busy season, to pause and to think about the people that they love and appreciate them. Of course, gift giving doesn't, you mentioned it doesn't have to be the most expensive gift. It's about, this is something that I've put thought and love into, and to reciprocate that appreciation for someone who has done so much for us, regardless of their role in our lives. And I love that. I love that you're encouraging people to do that.
Thank you. And that is it. I tell people a lot of times, when Peter and I bought our first house, we were just married, we had a baby on the way, and we didn't that first house and we had no money. Like, it was like every penny went. I remember at the closing table, they were like, well, when are you moving in? We were like, today. We are not painting. We don't have the money for paint. All right. Like we just have to live in the house now. I have the love note that Peter wrote and put in the Bauble stocking. Like, and that means just as much, to take the time and to reflect on the year. And I love hearing those stories too, is that we have some people who collect Bauble stockings who literally make it their where they put their good memories for the years. We have these little cards you can get them, but some people just like tear off paper and they put in all their wins for the year and they use it for their reflection at the end of the year
Oh, I
of
love that.
everything good that had happened.
That's a question I was going to ask later, but maybe we can talk about it now just because it came up. What has the experience been like to essentially share this tradition that you kind of thought was out there already, but that really was created by your family? I have to imagine it's been gratifying to watch other people start to incorporate your tradition into their family traditions.
I love it. I love that I am always surprised at how people do it because, you have something in your mind and you're going, well, this is how we've always done it. I love that people take it and do their own thing. We met a girl in Fort Worth last year and she's with her friends. But so she comes up and she says, hey, I love this. She goes, I have your 12 days set, which is 12 Bauble stockings. And it's, the 12 days of Christmas. And she says, we have them going down our banister. And in each one, we put the charity we're giving to. And each of the 12 days, we take it down and we talk to our children about why we chose that charity. And I thought that was such a unique idea for such a, I don't know, just a positive like spirit of the season. Of course, I love our designers who do them for all their table settings. We have a few women specifically in Texas. I love y'all. It's anybody's in Texas listening. I love y'all. But the Texas ladies like matching their china to them. So they'll have multiple, say they get the blue doves, but they'll get 12 blue doves and it'll match their one china setting. And then they'll get the next, and those are their table setting ones. And they're very specific. Do not take these bauble stockings home with you. Your bauble stocking is hanging on the tree. This is for my table setting.
I love that.
I've really leaned into that myself. It's so fun just to hear how people use them, to hear the different traditions and the different things that people have come up with to go in their bauble stocking. I love that we have become a regular on like wedding registries and baby registries because people say, they're going to have it for a lifetime. Like I want to be a part of giving them that tradition, which is really cool to me. And I love that I envision brides just like picking it out going, this is my bauble stocking.
Right.
This is
like your china pattern, really. Yeah.
Yes. I love being a part of it. So being a part of those traditions is so fun. It's also super personal. So it's kind of an interesting line to walk because it's on Christmas Day. I want to spend Christmas with my family, right? I want to be 100% I mean, that's the story of every mom, right? It's like, I'm trying to be 100% present, but I happen to run a very large company that has to do with Christmas.
Right.
So it is like setting that boundary for myself, but it's so fun when I open Instagram, like once everybody's taking their mid-afternoon nap and I can open Instagram and people have tagged me and stuff, which I don't, because it's so personal, I don't expect people to tag me. Like I understand, like it's not a see and be seen kind of thing. It's a personal gift. But I do love when people take the time to like say, hey, Kate, like this is what happened or share their stories with me. I love just being a small part of a very happy holiday.
And you mentioned, and we'll talk design in a minute because that's such a big part of the company. You mentioned even sometimes it's the clue to a gift. I would love to hear a little bit more about that.
Oh gosh, I love unique bauble stockings gifts. To start with myself, so the way that I give a gift, the way that we fill our bauble stockings, because sometimes I think people overthink it or they go, oh, I could never, I'm not a Pinterest mom. Y'all, I am not personally not a Pinterest mom at all. I just happen to really like bauble stockings. It's my one thing. So for our gifts, what we do is we sit down as a family. So now it's my husband, my 8-year-old, and myself will sit down for my 6-year-old. And we literally write down every single thing Calder likes. So this year's list, had everything from like, he likes baseball, he likes football, he likes ice cream, he likes chocolate, he likes gummies, he likes like just going every niche, small facet. And then we start going over the list and going, how can we make that special? 2 years ago, this was really cute. So for my family, like my parents and my brothers and their girlfriends, and we do Christmas Eve with them. Everybody has a bauble stocking there now because I own the company and that's how we do it. So everybody's bauble stocking goes on the tree, and then their secret Santa is in charge of filling their bauble stocking or putting it clean. We only have it set so you can't get your significant other and you can't get who you got last year. So my kids can draw each other, which is kind of cool. So Brianna got Calder when she was 7 and he was 5. And so we made this list of everything he likes. and she really focused on balloons. He loves balloons. He loves getting a balloon, like balloon. And you're like, how in the world am I going to make a balloon special? So what we ended up thinking of is she wanted clues that were like, what do you like that is round? What do you like that floats? What do you like that you get at a birthday party? I forget the order. So it was not even like a run around the house scavenger hunt like we usually do. This was you're just sitting there like guessing. And he's like yelling out all these absurd answers because he's 5. So we got to, what do you like when it floats? What do you like that floats? And he goes, a balloon. And then and she goes, you got it. And so the next clue, and it's cute because I have it on video and she's reading it and she's so little and tiny and precious. Okay, run to Lala's closet. So, they take off sprinting. And we had gotten him a helium tank, which a helium tank's like, I think, $50. And all
Yeah.
these like dinosaur balloons, and they're all filled up. And it's like the
Oh, that's
joy
so
on his face.
fun.
And it's really just not that insane of a gift at all. But it was like so well thought out and cute. And we just found a way to make that cute. Another time, and I use Calder as an example because it's just boys are funny and easy in a funny way. Because I think most times people will go, oh, guys are hard. And I'm like, guys are really fun to get bauble stockings too.
That gift, again, is just one of those things where it's not that expensive. And it seems, as an adult, you sit there and you're like, I don't know. But for a kid to get who loves balloons, to have the opportunity to have his own helium tank, I mean, that's like sticking a kid in a candy store. I mean,
Oh, well. So the
that's
next
like,
story
oh.
is that y'all are going to be like, Calder's just funny. He's my second child and he's just a silly, silly goose. It might have been the same year. So we were going over the silly list of what does a 5-year-old boy like? And we got stuck on ice cream. We were like, he really likes ice cream. And so what we decided, this was as a family, we decided, is we had a scavenger hunt. So on Christmas morning, after Santa had come, after they'd opened all their gifts, then they do their bauble stocking gifts one at a time. It's a clue, and I make it rhyme. And my rhymes are terrible. So maybe this year I'll use ChatGPT to make my rhymes. Like, let's not overcomplicate things.
The tools are out there, people. Let's use them.
ChatGPT. If you're wondering about it, if you've got your toe dipped in, you should just dive it.
Yes.
It makes life just easier. So anyway, so it's these silly little rhymes, but it's, go to your room. And so he runs up to his room and there's, a clue with a thing of sprinkles. And then he goes and it says, go to the next room, and he goes and there's chocolate sauce. He goes to the next room, there's cones. Like we're all just like chasing him around. We get to the basement and he opens the basement freezer and it's full of ice cream. The whole thing, top to bottom, is ice cream. And I got it on BOGO. I only bought the BOGO ice cream at Publix. But just the face of like, what in the world is this? It was huge. It was so fun. I love that in 6 months, a year, however long after, you can say, hey, Calder, what'd you get in your bauble stocking? And he'll tell you. The question you asked me was like, what are some other ideas that people have done? I love scavenger hunts. I just think that they are super fun. And
agreed. I love that experience. It creates a whole build up and experience. I think it's so fun. Yeah.
yes. And it gives them a story. I think kids love to have their own story. And like when the grandparents come over after that, they have a story to tell their grandparents. And the same with, we have a lot of grandparents that do bauble stockings for their grandchildren. And it's fun to have a story that's unique to you. That's not just something you watched happen or you open the gift, it makes that gift more memorable. So we've gotten a lot of that. It's been interesting to watch it grow. Francis, who works with me, we've been going over all of our videos that we have. Like people send us videos sometimes of them opening bauble stockings, which is super fun. But we got one and it's most precious. And it's this girl who got Taylor Swift tickets in her baubles, which who doesn't want Taylor Swift tickets in their bauble stocking?
Wow.
But it kind of showed me because it was a teenager, right? And you're going, well, what would be the coolest thing in the world as a teenager? And just going, it can be ice cream for a 5-year-old. It could be Taylor, it could be whatever it is. Or if you are already planning, this is going far. And people sometimes scoff at me when I say this, but nobody's ever gotten a car in my family without it coming in your bauble stocking.
I love that.
Because if you're going to get a car that year, it might as well come in your bauble stocking. Now there is debate like, well, did you not get a say in what kind of car you get? Did you not have a discussion? No, I feel like we have discussions, but you just never know you're going to get it until the bauble stocking. When I was pregnant with my son, we were at family Christmas at my mom's house. It was Christmas Eve. And I had Brianna open what I thought was the last gift. I thought all the bauble stockings been open. I thought this was the last gift. So I have her open a book and it says Little Miss Big Sis. And everyone's like, oh, Kate's pregnant. That's so great. Well, then my dad goes, well, wait, your mom hasn't looked in her bauble stocking yet. So she goes over to her bauble stocking and gets it down, and it was the keys to a Mercedes Benz. And
Oh.
I was like, is that a joke? This was my year. I was supposed to win.
Oh my
Um,
gosh. Is
but
there a car seat back there?
exactly. My
Let's bring
mom
this
was
back
like,
around.
it was hilarious. Just like she was like, this is the best Christmas set. Like everything she wanted in one fell
Oh my
swoop.
gosh.
But it is hilarious. I think bauble stockings just make for that really fun story and memory. And you don't end Christmas and go, what just happened? Like it's not just like a
Yeah.
blur at the end where all the gifts have been opened and then you feel that letdown.
I was just thinking about that because when you were saying, like the scavenger hunt, we were saying how exciting that can be as a kid. I mean, of course, there's so much excitement still happening, but there is that kind of when your adrenaline, I think, tapers a bit. It is so how special to then keep it going. In particular, when you incorporate something like a scavenger hunt, because that does have that anticipatory feeling connected to it. It keeps that momentum.
Yes. I think what I like is that at the end of it, gifts are meant to be thoughtful. Like the gifts
Mhm.
are meant to and I think it drives people crazy because I always go, a bauble stocking contains the most thoughtful gift. It makes you feel warm, fuzzy, and thought of. Like you use thought twice in that. And I'm like, that's literally the central point of bauble stockings is thought. They're thoughtful. They make you feel thought of.
It goes back to what you were saying about the gift could be as extravagant as a car, as simple as a helium tank, right? Because at the end of the day, like sometimes those big gifts are, of course, incredibly exciting, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they mean more than less expensive gifts. I'd love to talk a little bit about design, but I know you also have a really neat story connected to the craftsmanship.
First of all of our bauble stockings are hand stitched needlepoint. If you're not familiar with needlepoint, it is a fairly labor intensive job. Ours are all in 18 count, which is the smallest stitch you can do. It means there's 18 stitches per square inch. If you're familiar with needlepoint, there are about 200 needlepoint stores in the country, and they sell painted canvases. They're literally canvases that have little holes in them, and they're painted with the design you would do. So you buy the canvas, you buy the thread and the needles, and then you stitch it yourself. Our team is based in Jacmel, Haiti, which is if you keep up with the news, you're probably aware Haiti is run by gangs mostly at this point in time. So Haiti's president was assassinated in July of 2021. Gangs proceeded to take over like most of the major towns, took over the port. This year, the airport was closed for 3 months. It's been a really hard time for people in Haiti. The inflation is crazy. It's a hard place to live. It's a hard place to do business. It's not for the faint of heart for sure. But I'm very lucky that I have a business partner there, David Palmer, who runs the company we work with called Good Threads Needlepoint. They are certified B Corp. That's the same as Ben and Jerry's, Patagonia. The companies you hear that do business the right way, they're B Corps. David is amazing. He has a foundation called Joan Rose Foundation. We talk about it a lot, but he feeds 400 kids a day. He has a school for 126 kids. He runs after school programs. And he started with his school, realized that kids with single moms were the most likely to drop out. I mean, these were kids that weren't eating on a regular basis. So he was like, why would they drop out of school when they know they'll get food, if they come?
Right.
When he found out it was because they had single moms, so they were either getting jobs themselves or they were moving from house to house because the women couldn't afford rent. He said, okay, I've got to come up with a job that they can do, that they can work from their homes because they are women just like they have to run their households as well. I think people sometimes forget that. Like single moms, it is hard to go to a job every day when you're also trying to run your household. And it's no different in Haiti. So he's like, I need a job that they can do from their house. It has to pay really well because a lot of times when you run into fair trade products, it'll be tchotchkes or jewelry or something that's inexpensive. You have to sell a ton of those for somebody to make a living wage. So he needed something that was high skilled, highly paid. At the same time, this is when David is my age. He's 38. I think he was 24 when this all started. He got an email about a needlepoint belt. And he said, I don't want that. That's really expensive. And then he was like, wait a second, how do you make these? So his brother, who is now a Navy SEAL, and the cook at the school all started researching it and learned how to stitch and started taking orders. And now that I know him, I'm like, I bet y'all really didn't know anything about anything. We all started
Wow.
taking orders.
Wow.
But they did. And once they realized they could make money doing that, then other people were like, oh, you're making money. Let me learn. And so now David employs roughly 2,000 people, all for fair trade. Our full time stitchers make the equivalent of a Haitian mid level nurse or teacher. They can work from their homes. And those single moms from the very beginning who couldn't hold a job, who couldn't, run their households, they're all the bosses.
That's
It's
great.
amazing. So they've bought their own houses, they've bought their land. A lot of the kids who started with David years before I met him are now going to college, which is these are the average education in Haiti is second or third grade. So for these kids to be getting through elementary school, through junior high, through high school, and then going on to college is just mind blowing. And it's because of David and his team down there. So I'm so grateful to work with them. The last post that David made about us, he said that we help employ about 1,000 of this team. We are 50-50 partner with them on our full size stockings, which our full size, we make full size needlepoint stockings. We do it once a year. They launch online for roughly, I think, 36 hours, and our email list gets a head start. They sell out immediately. And we have an exclusive deal this year with Over the Moon, which already launched and closed. And then Neiman Marcus will be carrying their own assortment of our full size stockings this year. And back to the needlepoint point of it is our team in Haiti, they stitch by sight, not by painted canvas. So
Wow.
instead of having a paint by number, they're looking at a chart and they're counting stitches. Our best stitchers stitch all the outline work, and then their teams will fill in the blanks like a color by number. And then it goes to the next person who does the velvet and the cording, and then the next person does the lining. And mind you, all these people are working from their homes. So David goes, he picks up all of the work, he pays people, then he takes it to the next place. And so every bauble stocking is probably touched by 5 or 6 people before it gets to us. And then the road it takes to get here, especially this year, is crazy because of the gangs in Haiti. So earlier this year, when the airports were closed, my business partner David, which mind you, he's a guy from Detroit. I should just point that out. He's not Haitian. People often think he must be Haitian and he must be a missionary. He's not. He is David from Detroit. He went to Boulder. He majored in political science. He's covered in tattoos. Like I don't. He's just not. People have this like vision of him, and they see him, they're like, whoa. And it's like, yeah, you can do good and not be what people think you are. Since our airport wasn't flying, David was taking the boats on like a 2-hour boat ride to Dominican Republic on an open air boat, like a wooden boat,
Wow.
2-hour boat ride with 8 hockey bags of bauble stockings. Then he was having, so since they weren't like docking at a dock, he had some of his kids who his foundation started in Dominican and then moved to Haiti. So some of his original kids came and met him in the water and carried the bauble stockings over their heads through the water over to the sand. Then they helped him get on a public bus. And then he took a 7.5-hour public bus to Santo Domingo, where he then got on a plane, flew to Fort Lauderdale, got an Uber with 7 hockey bags of bauble stockings, got an Uber to USPS and shipped them to me, and then took that whole journey home.
Wow.
So the effort and I don't even know how I can push this out enough to people, how much people's purchase matters. Like I love our tradition and I know it will change your family's Christmas, and I know it'll make memories that last a lifetime. But to say without a doubt that these orders matter to people
Yeah.
is an understatement, because that's how much the work matters. Is that we will go, and I say we, that's being kind of myself to myself. David and his team will go beyond what anybody here would think is rational to make sure that that work keeps going, and to make sure that we stay in business, to make sure that the work keeps coming to Haiti. So it's very cool to work with them. I'm so grateful. There's only 6 manufacturers of needlepoint in the world, and our team is the only B Corp. So
Wow.
that's very exciting. And then when it comes to design, I've worked with Sarah Watson from the very beginning. She's a SCAD grad in textiles. She happens to be my best friend's sister-in-law. And Sarah can take anything and make it in a needlepoint. And I think it's cool because she wasn't a needlepoint artist. So she wasn't limited by what I think a lot of needlepoint artists used to be like, by thinking in squares and thinking like how it works. She would just make the art and then make it work on a canvas. Then we do guest artist every year. And that's what we're kind of famous for, is our guest artist design. So that's what we bring in. Like this year, we have VA Tree, the
Oh,
St.
that's
Nick's from VA
cool.
Tree. We're
Yeah.
doing those, the Lostra trees. We're working with Petite Keep, who the trunks.
Yes.
So We have ones that will coordinate to the trunks. Heirloomed, which is a beautiful textiles company here in Atlanta, and Sarah Tucker and Molly Boyd, who are some of my favorite influencers from Florida, helped design some. So all of these people, and in the past, we've done Nikki Hilton and Kathy Hilton and Allison Olivia, Love Shack Fancy. We've done all these great people, but it's always been an exchange for 10% of the profit going to their charity of choice. And so in the past 6 years, we've now given over $130,000 to charities through this program.
Amazing. Good for you. I have chills. So, you mentioned these collaborations. So what is that process, or how have you, even with your own designs, how do you figure out what you want that to look like? Where do they stem from? Is it your artist that's kind of just pitching things, or I have to imagine there's conversations surrounding all of this?
So yes, so when it first started, Sarah, she said, could you make me some Pinterest boards of what you're thinking about? What's your design? And I said, well, I just want a nutcracker. I want a Santa, I want these very basic things. And she says, well, Kate, a Kate Spade polka dot is not the same as a Ralph Lauren polka dot. I need to know what your polka dot would look like, which I have always stuck to as a non-design oriented person. It's very true. Now, when you see Bauble Stockings and you see our classic designs versus our guest artist designs, I think you can always tell what I had a hand in and what is totally new, because I am extremely traditional. I use Christmas red, Christmas green, and those have been our best sellers. So I made all these Pinterest boards of what I kind of envisioned Santa looks like and what I envisioned, just different things. And so Sarah ran with them, and that gave us our first 14 designs. And then so we launched the first year. It's kind of funny to look back. We launched with 14 designs year one, and now we have 130 designs right now.
Wow.
Which is too many, but people want what they want. We have the best customers in the world, and they get an email from me after they order saying, hey, will you fill in the survey? And most everybody fills in the survey. And it asks them designs you'd want to see, designs you like, everything, what don't you like? What do you like? What are you interested in? So I found out today you could paste an Excel spreadsheet into ChatGPT and it could analyze it for you. So I said, all right, I'll figure, because it's all words, and I have it where I sort it, and then I try and manipulate data in my own way. But I was like, maybe ChatGPT can do this. So I threw it in there. It was so funny because because I said, can you analyze what designs people want to see next? That was my question, because it's a whole column of what would you like to see next. No one thing is mentioned twice. It is a variety. It is a variety of things people would like to see. Everything. So that's fair. So when we're coming up with new designs, it's mostly if I hear something a lot, like this year we have a pickleball, we have tennis, we have golf, we did a football player, because people have gotten where they want it to be very personal to them, right? Mm-hmm. We did our favorite places this year as well. We did Fairhope, Charleston, London. Paris came out last year, but Paris is kind of having a resurgence again this year. We did Route 66. We actually did a lake scene, which is the exact scene from my dock at my lake house.
Wow.
So my Adirondack chair, my mountain view. For a while, I had there was a little girl holding a candle, which was actually my goddaughter in our I Believe stocking. Special. I had my daughter looking up at my childhood horse, and I actually had to cut my child out of it because everyone was like, well, if you have a blonde girl there, could you do a brunette? Could you do a boy? Could you do this? And I was like, now it's just a horse. We're going to take the child out. And I ended up, because my mom was like, did you save one of those? And I was like, no, I sold them all. And I ended up buying one back from one of my stores at full price last year. I bought so many stockings back last year, regretting that I hadn't saved one, of my favorite designs.
In the moment, though, yeah, you probably aren't even thinking about that. But then when they're not there anymore, you're having the same that your customers do. Where did it go?
I ordered one from a store. I found a blue willow, which if anybody on here is listening and they've seen the Bauble stocking, it's blue willow. It's gorgeous. It is stunning. It's a watercolor by Emmy Ruth Wise. It is fantastic, except that our team in Haiti, who stitches by sight, called it misery blue because it was so hard to stitch. And I am of the opinion that I will never make my team suffer on purpose. I didn't know metallic threads, if you stitch them in bulk, they can make your fingers bleed. We used to have a big bow with a dog on it that had this big metallic bow. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, let's change the color of the bow, So this blue willow, I wasn't going to write Haiti and be like, hey, can somebody stitch me one of those? I miss it. So I paid for it online. I paid $94 for it. And then I paid $14 for shipping. It's that's how much I love my product, guys. That is how much I love what I do, is that I was like, you know what? I'm just going to suck it up. I
If
need this
anyone
in
is,
my life.
if anyone's listening, Kate's on eBay.
I mean,
She's
but
looking.
we have a collectors group. The collectors group is phenomenal. They
Oh, that's
find
so
things that
fun.
I didn't know you could find anymore. So, but then I think the cool thing about our partnerships is everybody comes with what they want. Everybody has a vision. So like Sarah Tucker and Molly Boyd, they wanted a chinoiserie like thing, but not like Blue Willow. They wanted their own. I mean, they're these beautiful green and blue birds because Molly is more of a green person and Sarah is a blue person. And so we made these beautiful birds from them. Petite Keep, they obviously already had patterns in their trunks, in the lining of their trunks. And so they picked 5 of their favorites that we matched. Heirlooms, we coordinated with their napkins, and Heirlooms is also doing place settings to match our 12 days of Christmas. So they kind of did a swap of artwork with us. And then VA we did their classic nutcrackers and their Santas. So VA has like their own Christmas
Oh,
vibe
that'll be
that's
so
very
cool.
famous. So it's very cool because every year it's very different. And we're actually wrapping up 2025's artwork right now with all of
Wow.
that. And it's crazy to see like next year what's going to be on trend and different. And we try and stay classic, but that's the whole point of guest artists, is to have something that comes in and it's fresh and new.
How do you try and keep track, or how do you try and project when it comes to a holiday? Because we're not talking about even like fashion trends that kind of, when we're talking about a holiday that is such, you have, I think, maybe two camps, right? Where it's like very traditional, and then that is the tradition, is, the holiday exists within doing the same thing every year. And then you also have people who try to shake it up a little bit. So how do you navigate that when it comes to decor for something so specific?
I think I'm lucky with the guest artist, because that does keep us on trim without even really attempting, I guess, because
Yeah.
a lot of our guest artists are on top of it. I mean, last year we had Morgan Hutchinson of Buru, who came in with these bright, fun colors, which is so her, so chic. It was unlike anything we'd ever done before. And then this year we have a collaboration with Sainty Nelson. This is our Neiman Marcus collaboration.
Okay.
And we put, for everything that we did with Sainty, we have 16 full-size stockings and 6 miniature stockings coming out with Neiman Marcus that are exclusive to Neiman's through this collaboration with Sainty.
Oh, that'd be
And
so
so for
fun.
everything we put in front of Neiman's, it had a bright, fun color one, and then it had a traditional color one. So we had 2 colorways that Neiman's got to choose from. And Neiman's went bright and colorful the whole way.
Wow.
Literally the entire choice was, we do bright and colorful, which is also probably that they've got a lot more people they probably have people on trend in design. Their buyer has been the Christmas buyer for over 20 years, so she knows exactly what she wants. We also are lucky in that Needlepoint does attract classic people. I think I have a lot of like-minded people that follow us. My best friend actually does trend and design for one of the major home companies here, based in Atlanta. And so she does keep me a little bit apprised about like, okay, Kate, like black and white is really in this year. She's the first person who ever told me like Pantone's who makes the colors, and you have a Pantone color of the year. So keeping up with that, we are limited to some degree because of thread colors. All of our
Mhm.
threads come from France, from DMC. And so we only keep so many. It's very hard to ship anything from Europe to Haiti. That's a whole ordeal, and it takes a lot of time. So we are a little bit bound, but it's using the combination of what we have to make things like bright and fun and happy when it calls for it. Design work, I mean, let's say we have 10 Santas available. One of those Santas is our bestseller by far. Like one of
Oh,
them,
really?
there's always, oh yeah, the sleigh ride Santa. He has been a top 10 seller for 6 years because he's just classic. Our red nutcracker has been our bestseller every single year, since we started 6 years ago. And because he's classic and you can gift him to anybody. And then
Yeah.
you get more specific things, like we have Bottoms Up, which is a elf in a martini glass that was designed by Kathy Hilton.
I love that.
And she's a very specific elf. You're giving that to a very specific person. Whereas a red nutcracker, you could kind of gift to a teacher, or you can gift it to anybody, and it's
Mhm.
it's it's going to be loved regardless.
That was something I was curious about, because a holiday is rooted in tradition, particularly if we're talking about Christmas. So I was not certain how that all worked together.
So I know you design weddings and events, right?
I did used to do, yeah. So that was
Yeah.
my event design. Yeah.
And like my dream of dreams is to be a part of a Christmas wedding where there's a bauble stocking on every place setting for the
Oh,
guests. with like a bow
Oh,
on it, and that's like their takeaway
yes.
gift.
Yes. Oh, I love
I'm
that.
just putting this into the air. We do custom bauble stockings, guys. We do them. So
Oh,
line on up.
that is
I
such a
really
fun
want to talk to some
idea.
brides.
I love that idea. One of the things that I always used to tell people when I was planning weddings was people used to get really hung up on wedding favors. Sometimes they had the budget for it, sometimes they didn't. When they didn't, I used to tell them to just go without it because a lot of the times they were looking at things that lacked real meaning. I always used to say, if you have something in mind that makes sense for you, is worth the investment, and that your guests will take home and care about, it has something behind it. If you're just going to give them chocolate, like that's fine, but it could be any chocolate. Like unless you have a real connection to any particular place, it's just kind of on the table. This is one of those situations where I would say it is a brilliant idea. I never just wanted to go into an event and just like make it pretty. I wanted it to connect. It was supposed to be an extension of someone's love story. That was such an important thing for me. And of course, you want it to be aesthetically pleasing, but you're creating an experience. It is supposed to be a reflection of the people that are getting married. What a beautiful way to honor, especially if you're doing something that is at Christmas time. I mean, that is so beautiful. And it symbolizes, you have to imagine some of the people in that room wouldn't know, like you're introducing people to the brand and to the tradition. So what a beautiful way to start your new life together, but then also start a new tradition together and encourage the people that you love to do the same thing. That is a beautiful blend, beautiful blend. And also it would be so fun to look at.
And then every time that they do the tradition, they'll think of you. That's what my mom is
Exactly.
always, she's like, I really like giving gifts. Every time they use it, they think of me. And I'm like, that is the definition of a bauble stocking as a gift.
I love that. Speaking of futures, I'm curious where you see or what you are hopeful for your brand in the future.
In the future, we have so much going on. I laugh because bauble stockings is a February to June. I kind of have off, right? Like I don't have to work. I don't, and then all of a sudden it hits and we're just running. So it's like it's hard to celebrate the wins. And it's funny because it's like I should take my own advice and celebrate. But it's like as soon as we get Neiman's out the door this year, so Neiman's is about to head out the door, and it's massive, and I'm so excited. It's been such a beast to get done, and it's been really fun, but it's been a lot of work. We just hit the road, right? So it's funny because we don't really stop and celebrate what we've won or what we've accomplished until we're already moving to the next thing, and then we have these slow periods. We do have a book coming out, which I'm so excited for. It's been a labor of love. We've been working on it for 3 years. I'm pretty hard on myself at how long it has taken us to get it just right. But I think, will be a huge game changer because it just tells our story so beautifully. And it is a cartoon book, and it's precious, and it is me and my children and my
Oh, I love
husband.
it.
We are made into cartoons by Sarah Watson, and it's very cute, but it tells the story of bauble stockings very well, and in a way that kids will understand. It's a rhyming book. Growing more and more with custom designs, that has been so big. Right now, we are working on, we've done Sea Island for several years, and Sea Island now adds to their collection, but you'll find them at Blackberry Farm this year. You'll find them in a lot of special places that have reached out to us, and we can only use so many of those a year. So that's been really cool to be looking at that list and going, wow, like, because people love to take home an ornament from places like that. Our hope is always that we're going to keep providing these jobs. For us, every year, it is a numbers game because I don't know how to say it without saying bad, but it's more about the jobs and ordering stockings and having jobs in Haiti than making a ton of money. That's never been the primary goal here.
That's not a bad
And
thing to say at all. You're a
well,
good person.
I feel like people don't want to talk about money, but I'm like, but at the same time, like I know working with I know every small business in the Southeast, I feel like, and I love all these girls and these women. And sometimes I feel like I'm not as good at business because I care a lot about how they're made and all these connections that we've had. And it's hard to articulate, but like our stores, bauble stockings are sold in roughly like 315 stores across the country. Guys, go shop at your local stores because this year has been really hard on local shops, on gift
Yeah.
shops. But our local stores, they don't pay as much per stocking, but they buy them in bulk. So while our stores only 50% of the income that comes in for bauble stockings, they account for 75% of the jobs that we provide in Haiti. So if I dropped wholesale, because wholesale takes most of my time, it is the majority of my time, it's the majority of Francis's time here in the office. If we dropped wholesale altogether, it wouldn't really hurt me financially per se, but it would hurt what's going on in Haiti. So I will never drop wholesale because they provide the jobs to the team.
Yeah.
So that is always like our number one driver of like what I get up in the morning when I get to the office. Like, what do I have to do? I need to contact my stores. I need to make sure that all my stores are ordering. I need to make sure that, you know, we're getting out there and being seen and having new people. Our number one way to get new business is referrals. Our customer base is the most awesome group of cheerleaders you'll ever meet, and they share our story better than I do. And I'm so grateful for them, because without them, we would not be able to provide the jobs that we provide. And that's how most of our exclusives happen, is somebody reaches out to a place that they love and they say, hey, have you heard of Bauble Stockings? So if anybody listening has a place that they think wants custom Bauble Stockings, you could be the person that makes that happen. You could make a big difference for our team in Haiti. So I'm just really lucky to work with Good Threads in Haiti. And so every year, that's our mission, is how do we keep those jobs flowing there?
You're obviously very heart driven, which is incredible. I think that's part of, obviously you have a beautiful product, but I think sometimes that passion can guide success. You're obviously very passionate about not just the product, but what that product means in the bigger picture. I hope that everyone takes the time to go check out your website. I'll obviously in the show notes share your website, your social links, all the things. And it sounds like there's lots of exciting collaborations in the works here that people will start to see soon. So make sure to check those out too. Kate, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. I'd also just really appreciate you taking the time to sit down and share your story, because it's incredible.
Thank you so much for having me.